Hello and happy holidays. This is the finished product of what you'll be learning how to create in this Adobe Fireworks video tutorial. Okay. I'm going to change my canvas from transparent to white. And then the first shape that I'm going to create is going to be with the pen tool. So I'm going to grab my pen tool, and you can see my fill is this dark red color right there. And I'm going to start in the center. I'm going to click down, let go, and I'm going to go right across the screen. And if you want, you can hold shift, so make it go straight across, and then click down, let go, and then make it go straight down. And on this one, you're going to bring that little circle up to about the middle of the line, and then let go of your shift. That way you can make just a little tiny bulge on that side. Then click down on this dot, hold your shift again, and you'll make a straight line across. Then click down here, let go, and then meet up right there. Click down. And if you didn't get a perfect meet up right there, maybe yours is like this, that's fine. You can just hit your sub selection tool and hit any of those that you want. Okay, now once you have that, press Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and horizontally flip it. And we can even, actually, let's bulge this out a little bit more. I'm going to hit this edge here with my sub selection tool, and I'm going to bulge this out just a little bit more, right about there. Ctrl C, Ctrl V, flip it. Then I'm going to join those two. So I can grab both of them by making a box around them, or I can highlight them and hold shift as I select them to get them together. Go to Modify, Combine Paths, and Union. Okay, with the regular pointer tool, let's go ahead and select this piece. I'm going to change this solid fill to a gradient of linear. Now let's just adjust the linear gradient to add more lines in there. So what we'll do is, let's make this one dark red on top. Now let's go right about here, and we'll make this one a little bit lighter. And then we'll just click down anywhere in this area here, and you'll get another dark one. You can move that this way, then click down here, get another light one, and move it over this way. So you see what you get? Okay, let's grab our pen tool once again, and I'll go into the shape maybe about right here, and I'll click down and I'll let go. And then I want it to be about at the middle of this piece of ribbon, so I'm going to go right about there with my mouse, and then bring it out to about this area here. And then click down, hold, and drag. And you can hold your shift to make it a straight 90-degree line when you drag. That way you can get any kind of shape that you want for your bow. Right there looks good to me. So I'll let go, and then I'll click down on this point so it'll make a sharp corner, and then I'll hold shift as I go across, click down, let go, and then go up to meet that point there. And this will give a fill of gradient linear as well. And we're going to change the linear to go this way, like that. And we'll just make it both sides red for now. We're going to change that gradient in a second to give it some effects. Now let's take any line or border or edge that you have on it, and then highlight it, press Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and then flip the new copy vertically. So once you flip it vertically, then you bring it down to meet the other half, right in the middle. So you can highlight both of those together and go to Modify, Combine Paths, and Union. So now it's just one piece. Okay? Now you can take this piece and press Ctrl Shift Up arrow key to bring it to front. And then you just fit it in there to make it look like everything is fit well. Now let's highlight this, and we're going to give this gradient, let's change the gradient, and somewhere near the center, maybe off to this side, we're going to make this color. We'll add a new color just by clicking down in the gray area here, and then we'll click the inside of that color, and we'll change it to this lighter red right here. And we should actually move this over here, something like that. And you can really have that anywhere you want it. And at this point you might want to save your work, save your file, whatever, so you don't lose your work. Now let's highlight this shape, press Ctrl C, Ctrl V, to where you have placed another copy of it right on top of itself. And you can tell that by moving it around, but you really don't want to move it around. Leave it in the exact location that it is. Now let's grab our pen tool, because we're going to grab a shape, or we're going to draw a shape that's going to punch out that new shape that we just put on top, to where there's just a little bit of it showing. So let's click down right about here, and then let's go right about here with our mouse. Click and hold and drag until you get something that looks like that. And you don't really want it to, on the left edge, you don't really want it to bulge out like that. You want it to meet up kind of like that, but still have a little bit of curve on that end. Okay? So over here you can just click down somewhere, click, 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 and then meet up that point right there. Then make sure you give this a solid fill. You can take off that edge. Now what we're going to do is take this and that new shape, modify, combine paths, and punch. So now you have another shape sitting here. So what we're going to do is adjust its linear gradient. So you grab its gradient. Let's move these like that. Let's adjust it like that, and then we'll move this to where there's only two, and then this one is light like this color, and the rest we'll make it even darker than it is, a little bit darker. Okay, now what you can do is adjust these points. For instance, I'm going to move these points, just those, and I zoom by hitting Control and mouse wheeling. That's how you can zoom in on those points. So I can take these 2 points and move them down a little if I want, like that. It's where it all meets up better. I can take this point, move it in a little bit like that, and zoom in even further and curve it better. You see that? So you can play with all those points to get it exactly the way you want it to look. And you can even move this thing up a little bit, and it'll expose like a little bit of... Here, let me zoom in. See, when I move it up from where it was, it exposes like a little lip, which could look like ribbon. So you might want to have that. I'm going to highlight this piece and hit the sub selection tool, and I want to, let's zoom in a little by holding Control and mouse wheel, and I want to make this curve up a little bit more. So I'll grab this little pivot point right there, or that little stick, and just make that come up a little bit more, maybe like that. Then I'll highlight those 2 items, press Control C, Control V, and flip them flip the new versions or the new copies horizontally. And this will save you some work, especially if you have a symmetrical design. That'll save you some work. Now highlight these 2 items by holding Shift as you select both of them together. Go to Filters, Shadow and Glow, and put an inner shadow on them. And let's make it come directly from the top, so 270. Make that be 270, and then make it go in further than 7, maybe like that, or whatever you feel is a good amount. And then take the opacity way down, not so much, maybe right about there. I'm going to highlight everything, and I'll move it around till it hits the center line there. When that dotted line shows up, I know I'm in the center, and then I'm going to move it up a little bit. That way I have room to draw down in my canvas here. And we're going to draw 2 ribbon ends, and they're going to be symmetrical as well, so really all we have to draw is 1, and then we'll flip it. Okay, so grab your pen tool, and I have the solid dark red on my fill, and on my edge I'm going to get that dark red as well, so that way I can see a line as I'm drawing. I'm going to start right about here. I'm going to click down and bring my mouse to right about here and bend in just a little bit, right about like that, then let go, and then bring my mouse down to right about there where it looks like it tapers nice. Click down, let go, and then bring my mouse up to right about here. Click down, hold, and drag just a little bit to bend it, just a little bit. Then once that's bent just a little bit, that line right there, then you click down on this point to make a sharp corner point. Then you come way down here, click down, and hold just a little bit to drag and bend that line a little bit. Then click down at that point to make a sharp corner point. Then we want to go up to about right here with our mouse. We're going to click and hold and drag and go way up to where we get a taper at the bottom a little bit. And then we can just go all the way back up like that. Then make those 2 edges meet or close the shape, and you'll get your fill. Then we can take our edge away, remove the edge. Now I'm going to get a rectangle, draw it out, and I'm going to cut that to where it has a flat line on top. So I'll select both of those, this one and this one together, modify, combine paths, and punch. Now I'll take this one and put it right about there, and then press Control Shift down arrow key to send it to the back. Now let's highlight it and go to solid fill and change it to gradient linear, and let's move this dot here, and let's move this to there. And then you play with your bars, your linear bars. On the very top where it's white right now, we want it to be very dark like this. And then we want more red to come in, so let's just put a dot right here by clicking down, and then let's get this bright red right there. And I want to taper this a little bit more at the top, so I'm going to hit the sub selection tool up here, grab that point right there, and use my keyboard to move it in a little bit. Actually, I should, before I do that, highlight this one as well and move it with it, sort of like that. And then grab this one by itself here and move that one in a little bit. There we go. Now I'll grab my regular pointer tool and I'm going to turn the whole thing. So I'll grab my scale tool and just turn it just a little bit, because I want it to lay right about like that. Then once I have the desired position I want, I'll press Control C, Control V, and then I have a copy of it right on top of itself. I'll move it over a little and I'll flip it horizontally. And keep moving it over with my arrow keys on my keyboard. Now highlight both of these together, go down to Filters, and let's go to Shadow and Glow, Inner Glow. And we'll take this down to 2, bring this up to about 8, and then bring the opacity way down. You don't want it to be so strong. But what that'll do is give them a little bit of depth. And it separates them up here visibly a little bit better. Now what we'll do is highlight this shape, and by holding shift we can highlight them all together. So let's get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Press Control G, make a group out of them. Now highlight this shape, and now this group. So you have 3 objects selected. Fireworks tells you right here. Then you go to Filters, Shadow and Glow. Now let's drop shadow. And we're going to drop our shadow straight down, 270. So we need an angle of 270 on that shadow. And we want to blur it a little bit more. And we don't want it to be so dark. Maybe something like that. Now the red colors on these are starting to bug me. I'm going to have to change them to match these better. Let's try to make it match that. Bring this down a little. Now I wanted to lay the shadows separately on these 2 items and this item, just because I wanted more separation visibly between these 2 pieces of ribbon at the top. You see, right there where it meets, you can see it a little better if there's a little bit of drop shadow there. Actually, I'm going to make the drop shadow on all of those just a little bit darker. And maybe not so spread. Something like that. Okay, now you can highlight everything and you can group it. Now it's all one piece. You can set it to the side, save that one, press Control C, Control V. Now you can go ahead and modify flatten as bitmap. Now once it's a bitmap, then you can resize it to whatever size you're going to display it as, in a greeting card or on the web or whatever. So no matter what size that thing is, it should look pretty good, even when it's really tiny like that. Alright, that about wraps it up, and I'll see you in the next lesson.